I graduated high school and got a $15 gift card while my twin got Europe, so I smiled, toasted, and drove away. My parents raised a glass to her bright future, while reminding me to be grateful for less. No argument, no scene, just a quiet exit that nobody noticed until it was too late. Somewhere between gas stations and silence, I realized the gift wasn't an accident. Hi, I'm Nathan, 18, and the night I graduated high school, I quietly disappeared from my family's life, because of a $15 gift card and a champagne toast that should have gone to both of us. Let me back up. I'm a twin. My sister Emily and I were born 5 minutes apart, and from the second she arrived, she became the favorite. Not in the usual, "Oh, she's the only girl" kind of way. No, I mean banners, parties, and literal red carpets when she walked into a room. She got ballet lessons in Paris at 10, I got a wooden recorder and a laminated chart of easy songs to try. She got a horse named Cinnamon, I got a poster of a horse taped to my wall with painter's tape and a note. Dream big, champ? For a while, I convinced myself it was just in my head. But reality hits hard when you open your graduation gift, and it's a $15 Chili's card, and your twin opens hers and it's a 2-month luxury tour through Europe, flights, hotels, excursions, all prepaid. First class. Emily squealed like she just won the lottery. I clapped because everyone else was clapping. Mom wiped away tears and said, "Our little explorer!" Dad raised his glass to Emily's bright, global future. Then they turned to me. "Well," Mom said, tilting her glass toward me like she just remembered I was there. "Nathan, we hope you'll use your gift wisely. It's not the amount, it's the thought. Gratitude matters. I kid you not." My sister was practically booking Louvre tickets on her iPad, and I was being guilt-tripped over a Chili's card. So I smiled. I smiled bigger than I ever had. And then I left. Quietly. No yelling, no "I'm running away" theatrics. I excused myself to grab something from the car, got in, and just kept driving. I didn't pack anything. Just my graduation gown still half on, my phone, wallet, and an unopened bottle of Coke someone handed me at the school gym. No plan. No map. I just knew I wasn't going to be in that house by morning. That night, I drove 5 hours west until my eyes burned from staying open. I pulled into a gas station in the middle of nowhere, bought a disgusting microwaved burrito with the last of my cash, and sat in the parking lot watching some raccoons dig through a trash can like it was a buffet. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. I slept in my car that night, windows cracked, hoodie over my face. It was uncomfortable and stupid and made 0 sense. But it also felt like the first real choice I'd made for myself. By morning I had 3 texts from Mom. "Please tell me you didn't take the car. Your sister is worried sick. This is exactly why we didn't plan a trip for you, you're impulsive." That one got me. Because it confirmed what I'd suspected for years. They never intended to treat us equally. Emily's trip wasn't a splurge. It was a reward. Mine wasn't an oversight. It was a message. And I'd heard it loud and clear. So I kept going. No destination. Just anywhere that wasn't home. Turns out, vanishing is easier than you'd think when no one really sees you to begin with. By day 3, I was somewhere in Kansas. Or maybe Nebraska. I wasn't checking signs too closely. My car smelled like stale burrito and wet socks. I was living on gas station coffee and off-brand granola bars, and yet, I felt alive. Not happy. Not content. But free. I crashed one night behind a church that left its Wi-Fi on after hours. It was there, lying in the back seat scrolling Reddit and trying not to think about whether my tires were slowly deflating, that I came across a post titled, "What's the pettiest reason you cut off your family?" The top comment, "They forgot my birthday. So I forgot their phone numbers." I stared at it for a long time. Then I laughed. Like cackled. Out loud. Alone. In the dark. Because God, if that was petty, what the hell did you call Europe versus Chili's? That night, I deleted the family group chat. I didn't block anyone, I wasn't that dramatic, but I turned off notifications and archived everything. My phone went blessedly silent. No passive-aggressive updates about Emily's Eiffel Tower photo shoots. No guilt-laced, "We're worried but also very disappointed" monologues from Mom. In the quiet, something weird started happening. Strangers saw me. Like really saw me. At a diner in Missouri, a waitress named Carla asked if I was headed somewhere special. I shrugged and said, "Just away." She smiled and brought me a free slice of pie. "For the road?" she said, like I was on some kind of noble journey instead of running from a family that thought I should be grateful for buffalo wings. In a tiny town in Colorado, I helped a guy fix a flat tire outside a hardware store. He offered me $20. I said no. He handed me a box of protein bars anyway and said, "Looks like you're figuring stuff out. Good luck." People were kind in ways my own parents never were. It was jarring. I journaled everything on an old notes app file I titled The Escape Artist Chronicles. Every weird motel, every stranger, every lesson. Like this one, there's a special kind of peace in being somewhere no one expects you to be. Meanwhile, I kept expecting Emily to reach out. She didn't. I pictured her in Paris, sipping cappuccino, uploading perfectly filtered photos with captions like, "Croissant goals," while I was brushing my teeth with a bottle of water behind a Walmart. We weren't close. Not really. Not since middle school when our parents made it clear, one of us was their project, and one of us was their responsibility. Guess who got which? It wasn't her fault. But it was her privilege. One night, on a whim, I checked her Instagram. There she was, standing in front of the Arc de Triomphe in a flowing white dress, eyes closed like she was embracing the universe. The caption? "Grateful for everything. Especially family." I stared at that for a long time. Then I threw my phone into a field. No worries. I found it the next morning. Cracked screen. Still worked. But it confirmed something for me. I was done waiting for fairness. Done hoping they'd see me. If they wanted a golden child, they could have her. I wasn't coming back. And yet, as I watched a sunrise from a rest stop in Utah, something in me shifted. I didn't want revenge. I wanted something better. I just didn't know what that was yet. It was day 17 when I finally broke. Not a dramatic sobbing on the sidewalk breakdown. Just one of those quiet, soul-crushing moments where your body gives out before your brain even catches up. I'd been sleeping in the car, eating scraps, dodging weather, and pretending I had a plan, but the truth was, I was exhausted. Mentally. Physically. Emotionally. My grand escape had turned into a low-budget survival documentary, and I was the only cast member. That morning, I woke up to find my rear left tire completely flat. No gas. My debit card declined. And the gas station guy said the air pump was for paying customers only. So I sat there in the dirt. Hoodie pulled over my face. Hands shaking. And I whispered something I hadn't said out loud in years. "I miss me." I didn't even know what that meant. But it was true. I missed the version of me who smiled easily, who got excited over stupid things like new movies or homemade waffles. The version who believed he mattered. Who didn't need to keep proving it to parents who'd already decided he didn't. I didn't cry. I just sat. Then, for some reason, I pulled out my phone and typed one name into Facebook, Uncle Ray. Technically he was my dad's cousin, but everyone called him Uncle. He was the black sheep, the cautionary tale we were warned not to become. Dropped out of college, opened a used bookstore in Nevada, lived above it like a hermit. My mom called him a lesson in wasted potential. But he was the only adult who'd ever spoken to me like I was a real person. I messaged him one line. "Any chance you have space for a broke, ungrateful runaway?" 5 minutes later he sent back an address and 2 words. "Always do." It was a 9-hour drive from where I was, and I had no idea how I was going to make it. But something about his message hit harder than it should have. He didn't ask why. Or lecture. Or say, maybe talk to your parents. He just said yes. So I posted up at that gas station, swallowed my pride, and made a cardboard sign. Out of gas. Just trying to get to Nevada. It took 5 hours. 5. That's how long I stood there, sunburnt and humiliated, until a rusted-out Jeep Cherokee pulled over and a guy with gray hair and a tie-dye shirt leaned out and said, "Nevada, huh? That's weirdly specific. Hop in." His name was Dennis. He smelled like sage and had a dog named Meatball. We talked about everything: aliens, forgiveness, sandwich rankings, and nothing at all. He drove me 6 hours before peeling off toward Arizona, and he left me with a hug, $40, and a single sentence. "Your people will find you when you stop hiding from yourself." It sounded like hippie nonsense at the time. But when I finally got to Uncle Ray's bookstore the next morning, hair greasy, hoodie streaked with ketchup, smelling like 12 different regrets, I realized what Dennis meant. Ray opened the door, looked me over once, and said, "God, you look awful. Come in." No shock. No questions. Just coffee, a shower, and a dusty futon in the back room. And for the first time since graduation night, someone looked at me without disappointment in their eyes. Just relief. I was still mad. Still hollow. Still hurt. But as I collapsed onto that creaky futon, one thing was suddenly, blindingly clear. I hadn't vanished. I'd finally shown up. For myself. The first thing I learned living with Uncle Ray was that dust settles faster than people. His bookstore was this creaky, chaotically magical place, half literary haven, half fire hazard. Books stacked like unstable Jenga towers, creaky fans whirring overhead, and a cat named Sylvia Plath who hated everyone on sight, except apparently me. She slept on my chest the first night, and has claimed me as her flesh pillow ever since. Ray let me stay with no questions asked. No rent. No ultimatums. Just 3 rules. If you break something, tell him. Don't touch the James Baldwin first editions. Make the coffee strong and bitter. Like my 3rd divorce. He joked like that all the time, in this dry, deadpan way that made you laugh twice. Once because it was funny, and again because it was probably true. We didn't talk much that first week. Just coexisted. I helped him stock shelves, clean out the back room, and organize dusty boxes of old poetry magazines that smelled like the 70s. I didn't ask for advice. He didn't offer any. It was perfect. But one night, after I nearly dropped a box of encyclopedias on my foot, he looked at me and said, "So, your parents suck?" I blinked. "That's putting it mildly." He nodded. "They always did, far as I could tell. Your mom once accused me of corrupting you because I gave you a Nerf gun when you were 6. I laughed. I hadn't thought about that in years. Ray went back to alphabetizing books and said, "You want to talk about it, talk. Don't want to, don't. But you're not crazy. And you're not wrong." And those 2 sentences, meant more to me than every toast, every speech, every condescending "We just want what's best" I'd ever gotten from my parents. I started writing again. Nothing fancy. Just little scenes, pieces of dialogue, fictional versions of real moments. I called one of them The Boy Who Vanished But Didn't Die. Another was Family Discounts Not Valid at Chili's. Ray read them when I left them out. By accident. He never gave notes. Just scribbled things like "ouch," or "this one made me angry in a good way," in the margins. Eventually, he offered me a job at the shop. Under the table cash. Enough to eat and not starve. I took it. A month passed. Then 2. I grew a beard that looked more like I lost a bet. I bought my first non-gas station hoodie. I stopped checking Emily's Instagram altogether. Progress. Then, in month 3, I got an email from my dad. The subject line? "Be reasonable." No greeting. No. "We miss you." Just 4 sentences. "You've made your point. We're worried about appearances. Your sister's starting college soon, and this is creating unnecessary drama. Come home. That was it. Not even a, "How are you?" I didn't respond. Ray saw me staring at the screen and asked, "Family guilt trip?" I nodded. He said, "Trash belongs in the trash," and tossed me a lighter. I didn't burn the phone. That would have been expensive and honestly kind of psychotic. But I did delete the message. And I finally said out loud, "I'm not going back." It felt final. But not in a sad way. More like a door closing behind me, one I didn't realize I'd been holding open with my foot, just in case. Only now I knew I didn't want back in. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't running. I was choosing. The letter came in August. Not an email. Not a text. An actual envelope, addressed to me in Emily's handwriting, loopy and too perfect, like it practiced yoga before breakfast. I found it wedged under a stack of old Stephen King paperbacks. Ray handed it over without a word, just raised one eyebrow like he was daring me to light it on fire. I didn't. I read it. It started with, "I'm not writing because Mom asked me to. She doesn't know I'm sending this." That earned her a full second of my attention. Then, "I don't blame you. I'm not even mad. Honestly. I'm kind of jealous." And boom. My brain short-circuited. She went on. "Paris was beautiful. The food, the buildings, the art, yeah, I loved all of it. But do you want to know the part one remember the most? I was walking along the Seine at sunset, and I saw a guy playing guitar on the bridge. Not for tourists. Not for tips. Just because. And for the first time, I thought, I don't know who I am when no one's watching. You do. That's brave. I wish I had that." It hit harder than I expected. She didn't apologize. She didn't try to explain away the years of favoritism, the way she basked in it like a warm sunbeam while I sat in the shadows. But she acknowledged something, and that was more than anyone else had done. The letter ended like this. "I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. I hope someday, if you want, we can sit down and be siblings. Not rivals. Love, Emily." I reread it 3 times. Then I folded it up and tucked it inside my notebook, right between "The Boy Who Vanished But Didn't Die" and a half-finished poem titled "Consolation Fries." Because as much as I'd built this new life on no contact, no guilt, no going back, the truth was, I didn't hate her. I never had. I hated what our parents did to us. To me. To her, too, in their own way. I wasn't ready to reach out. But I also didn't throw the letter away. Instead, I got back to work. By then, the bookstore had started hosting open mics on Thursdays. Mostly college kids reading sad poems about heartbreak and identity, sprinkled with the occasional guy who thought slam poetry was just yelling with rhythm. It was chaotic and beautiful and a little unhinged. Ray told me I should read. I told him I'd rather eat glass. So naturally, 2 weeks later, he signed me up without asking. I almost bolted. But then I remembered Emily's line. "You know who you are when no one's watching." And for the first time, I realized people were watching now. But not to judge. To listen. So I stepped up. I read Family Discounts Not Valid at Chili's in front of 22 strangers, 1 cat, and a guy in the back who may have been asleep. And they laughed. And then they clapped. And then they kept clapping. Afterward, a girl with blue hair and a septum ring came up and said, "That made me want to call my dad and hang up on him immediately." It was the nicest thing anyone had ever said to me. So I kept reading. Every week. People started asking for more. A local zine published 2 of my pieces. Ray cried when he saw the print copy. He'll deny it, but Sylvia and I both witnessed the single tear. I wasn't rich. Or famous. Or forgiven. But I was seen. And for a kid who once drove off into the night with nothing but a Chili's gift card and a bottle of Coke, that was more than enough. 6 months to the day after I left, I stood on a stage in a crowded indie bookstore in Reno, not Ray's, a bigger one, with real lighting and chairs that didn't wobble, and read a story about a kid who disappeared because no one noticed he was ever really there. The title? Exit gift card. The punchline? He was worth more than the appetizer sampler. The place erupted. I mean, erupted. People clapped. One guy in a hoodie shouted, "Justice for Nathan!" Even though that wasn't the character's name. It didn't matter. Afterward, someone asked if I was going to publish it. I laughed and said, I already did. Right here. I tapped my chest like I was starring in a made-for-TV sports movie. But honestly, that moment didn't even crack the top 3 wildest things to happen that week. Because the next day, they showed up. I was shelving books, minding my business, when Ray called from the front desk and said, "We've got 2 visitors. One looks like you with better hair. The other looks like she wants to win a courtroom drama." My stomach dropped. I stepped out from behind the stacks, and there they were. Mom. And Emily. Mom was in her full power blazer, the one she wore to my sister's debate tournaments and literally never once to anything of mine. Emily looked different. Smaller somehow. No makeup, hoodie, sneakers. Like she was deliberately trying not to outshine the furniture. We stared at each other. Then Mom said, "We're here to take you home." I blinked. "I have a home." She frowned. "Nathan, you've made your point. We get it. But this isn't sustainable. You have a future. You can't waste it in a dusty." Ray walked up, slow and calm, holding a mug that said "Best Uncle" by default, and said, "Ma'am, if this place isn't good enough for your son, I can direct you to the nearest exit and a therapist." Emily burst out laughing. Loud, too. That laugh was real. Mom didn't laugh. She turned to me and said, "After everything we've done for you." And that's when I stopped her. "Everything you did for Emily, you mean?" She blinked. I stepped closer. My voice didn't shake. "You gave her the world and gave me guilt. A $15 guilt trip wrapped in a Hallmark card." Emily put a hand on Mom's arm. "He's right." Mom turned to her like she just switched teams mid-game. Emily said, gently but firmly, "You gave me everything I asked for. But you never asked what he needed." Mom looked between us. For the first time, she didn't speak. Eventually, she just left. No hug. No apology. No dramatic tearful exit. Just a quiet, "well," and the click of her heels on the wooden floor. Emily stayed. We sat on a bench outside the store, watching a guy across the street juggle bowling pins like it was totally normal. "I'm sorry," she said. I nodded. "You didn't owe me Paris." "I know," she said. "But I owed you this." She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. Inside was another card. This one said, "To Nathan. For being unforgettable." And taped inside? A $15 Chili's gift card. I stared at her. She grinned. Consider it poetic symmetry. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the bench. We didn't fix everything that day. But we ate chicken crispers 2 hours later. And I paid. Because I'd already used her gift card to buy 2 orders of dessert and a margarita to go. Later that night, back at the shop, I sat with Ray and Sylvia and realized something kind of perfect. I hadn't vanished after all. I just finally showed up in the right story. Mine.